YouTube, oh my goodness, folks, we have a blockbuster trade on our hands, the first one of the 2024 NBA offseason, and this could end up being the biggest one of the 2024 NBA offseason. Mikal Bridges moving down the street to the New York Knicks and will be playing at the Madison Square Garden Arena, the mecca of basketball in 2025 and the foreseeable future. In this video, I'm going to outline the trade details for both teams. I'm going to outline my thoughts on what this trade means for the New York Knicks, what this means for the Eastern Conference in general, now that the Knicks just got a whole lot better. And at the end of the video, we will briefly talk about the Brooklyn Nets side of things, as I do think that is important. The Villanova connection is complete in New York. The only guy you need left is Kyle Lowry to complete the ceremony of the Villanova New York Knicks. Please, Daryl Morey, don't let Kyle Lowry go to the Knicks. All of that stuff and more in this video. Let's talk about it. Let's recap these trade details here, folks, because it was a big one. Like I said, could end up being the biggest one of the NBA offseason. We'll just have to see about that. But this comes from the Woj Twitter account. You know, he broke the news, and I'll put the trade on screen so you guys can see it, but I'll also read it. Breaking. The Brooklyn Nets have agreed in principle on a trade to send forward Mikal Bridges to the New York Knicks for Bojan Bogdanovic, 4 unprotected first-round picks, a protected first-round pick via Bucks, an unprotected pick swap, and a second-rounder, sources tell ESPN. The sheer scale of this trade is, you know, unquantifiable. I mean, those are a lot of picks to be sent to the Brooklyn Nets. You know, obviously this is a great trade for both teams, but primarily in New York. They're obviously going to be the focus of this trade since they are current contenders, and like I said in the intro, just got that much better. Not only do you bring another Villanova dog to your roster, you get him on a really team-friendly contract. Mikal Bridges only set to make $20 million next season, give or take, and for a player of his value, I mean, he is a borderline max-level player. This is an absolute W for the New York Knicks on so many levels, and that's what I want to talk about right now. So what exactly does this mean for New York? You know, obviously the Knicks, you know, Jalen Brunson is an MVP candidate last season, and he comes out, leads the Knicks to above 50 wins, placing second in the Eastern Conference standings. You know, despite their second best player being hurt in Julius Randle for the playoffs, Brunson finds a way to get his Knicks, along with the help of a bunch of role players, to the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, losing to the Pacers. But man, they gave the Pacers a tough series, and they gave my Sixers a tough series, you know, beating them in the first round. So the Knicks have officially established themselves as a real threat in the Eastern Conference, even to the likes of the Boston Celtics. But there were some questions going into this offseason, you know, one of them being OG Anunoby, who we'll get to in a little bit. But there was another versatile wing that the New York Knicks, you know, made a big splash trade for from Toronto this season. And with questions about him extending his contract to the New York Knicks, or maybe potentially leaving in free agency, the Knicks say, you know what, we're not going to wait around for OG Anunoby to decide our fate the next season. You know, we're going to go out and be aggressive and either A, find his replacement on the wing that can do similar things, maybe even a little bit better, or B, we're going to find his, you know, running mate at the, you know, wing position who can also lock up a Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown type player on the defensive end of the floor. You know, the New York Knicks have really put themselves in a great position to compete for a title alongside the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference, as mentioned before. And this, you know, Mikal Bridges situation and trade puts them that much closer to the Celtics in terms of talent. I have to be honest and give this trade an A+ for the New York Knicks. Doesn't matter what you give up to get a guy like Mikal Bridges. Your team is in a win now mode, and we know the Celtics aren't going to be easy to get past. So in order to give yourself the best chance of beating a Boston Celtics next season in the playoffs, like I said, this is a win now team and a win now roster. You got to be really aggressive, put all your chips on the table, and that's what the New York Knicks did in this trade. I just love this trade, man. I really do for the Knicks. It is absolutely incredible that they were able to pull this off. Sending multiple draft picks like that, I mean, you know, that is 5+ draft picks, you know, 4 of them being unprotected first rounders. Again, sends a clear message to the league. Like, you know, this is not a project team. We are to be taken seriously right now, 2025. I think Mikal Bridges is going to add a lot of defensive stability to this team. He's going to provide a lot of off-ball shooting and maybe even some on-ball creation. You know, the thing about Mikal Bridges that's so impressive is his durability. I mean, Mikal Bridges is going to give you 82 games every season, right? And if he doesn't, you know, it's going to be because he's severely injured, which, you know, knock on wood, I hope I knocked on my keyboard there, but knock on wood, I really hope that doesn't happen for the Knicks, you know, giving so much up. You know, you don't want to see anyone get injured, right? Think of Mikal Bridges as a more durable, younger, spry, better contract, maybe even better offensive player than an OG Anunoby, right? They are both elite tier defenders from the wing position. They can guard almost any position out there on the floor, right? They're active playmakers on the defensive end, but they're also great off-ball shooters. They're also both really smart players that understand the game really well. Just two-way monsters, like I said. So now that we've established how, you know, this is an A+ plus home run deal for the New York Knicks. Let's talk about the OG Anunoby situation, because while this situation is a home run for the Knicks, it does throw a little bit of a curveball into their, OG Anunoby plans. I'm sorry for that joke. I thought of it on the spot and I thought it was funny. Don't roast me in the comments or I'll be upset. They're certainly going to be competing with the Yankees after that home run trade. All right, I'm done. I'm not sure you're going to be able to extend Isaiah Hartenstein at this point, but it is still on the table, no question about it. Either way you look at it, though, if OG Anunoby re-signs with this team, now you have the most dynamic two-way wing situation in the entire league, other than maybe the Boston Celtics, which I think had a big influence on this trade in general. And if he doesn't re-sign, you get, similar value to him in Mikal Bridges, and you'll get those healthy guys back like Julius Randle next season. So either way you look at it, like I said, this team is better next season than it was in the playoffs of 2024. This is a situation where the Knicks are just going to be better next season no matter what happens, right? You improve significantly from last season just by getting Julius Randle back if everything were to stay the same. And now you got a chance to have, like I said, one of the most dynamic tandem of two-way wings in the entire league in their prime, right? That is an enviable position from almost every team in the league, not named the Boston Celtics, right? And if OG Anunoby does re-sign, I mean, you guys are clearly the second favorite to win the Eastern Conference behind the Celtics, right? You might even be number one. I mean, think about how great that Eastern Conference final series could be. Boston Celtics, New York Knicks, right? Think of this starting five for the Knicks and roster. I'm going to break it down for you. This is if OG Anunoby re-signs, right? Let's just say, be generous and say Anunoby re-signs and you lose Hartenstein, right? Here's the starting five: Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. Yeah, I think that could give the Celtics some issues. Even though the Celtics are incredible and all their players are returning next season, I think that is the best team in the Eastern Conference, not named Boston. I think they would go a really long way in that series and maybe even come out on top. Off the bench, you'd have Deuce McBride, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, whoever you replace the second big man with. I mean, this is a absolutely deep, versatile roster that you've created in New York. And like I said, whatever happens with OG Anunoby, you've made it so that you're okay either way. I think this is, again, just an amazing situation for the Knicks. As a Knicks fan, I can imagine how great it would feel, to have a real legitimate contender and be so excited for next season. You probably haven't felt that way in so long. I know last year you guys were really good, but you just didn't have enough to, hang with a team like the Celtics, and you got banged up halfway through the year. But this also is a W for Julius Randle. I mean, all of this stuff, right? Like, some of his issues in the past has been overusage in the playoffs, right? Like, he's just not a guy you can rely on to be a number one or number two in the playoffs. I think having a guy like Mikal Bridges come in and take a lot of that scoring duty off of, Julius Randle and, make his usage rate go down quite a bit, I think he'll be much more effective in the playoffs. And we've still really yet to see this team fully healthy and at full strength. So I just can't believe how big a W this is for the Knicks, right? For the Eastern Conference, I mean, you've already immediately put yourself as the second favorite, in my opinion. You have the Bucks, you have the Sixers. We'll have to see what my Sixers do. That could maybe, end up being a problem for the Knicks, right? You have the Pacers, you have the Bucks, you have the Sixers, you have the Miami Heat. All of those teams are question marks, though. It seems like all of those teams have a lot of question marks as far as their offseason. I have to see how it plays out, but, even it doesn't matter if the Sixers get Paul George and a balanced, role player roster around them. I think the Knicks are still a little bit better than that team, right? So it just depends on how everything shakes out in the offseason. But right now, you gotta love the Knicks' chances as the number two runner-up to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. Those odds would go up significantly more if the Knicks were able to retain OG Anunoby. If they don't, I still think they're the second favorite to win. There's just so much continuity. There's so much hunger in that organization. You have a good coach. You have a ready win-now roster. You got good pieces all across the board at every position. I think the Knicks are, the clear number two in the East right now. We'll have to see what happens again with those other teams. But as far as the Brooklyn Nets, I think they had made the right decision here. I made a video a couple weeks ago about how, the Nets were making a big mistake. They had come out and said, we're not looking to trade Mikal Bridges. We believe we can get a star player to come in and, supplement a guy like Mikal Bridges and a guy like Cam Thomas. And I had a lot of criticism for that approach from the Nets front office. It looks like, they weren't really serious about that, or maybe they'd have changed their heart. Bottom line for the Nets was, this team is just not competing. They're not ready to compete right now with the roster they had. They had a big hole in the cap situation. They have Nick Claxton, who's potentially walking in free agency. You got the Ben Simmons situation. You got some good young pieces like Mikal Bridges, Cam Thomas, and Cam Johnson, and guys like that. But, this team was just not ready, and they didn't have the assets, quite frankly, to bring in a superstar talent to, get them to that place. And the East is just tough right now. So the odds were super low. Looks like the Nets, made the right decision in trading Mikal Bridges. It looks like they're really committed to a long-term rebuild, which is something they've needed to do for a long time now. now, this is a W for the Nets. I mean, you get 4 unprotected first-round picks. You get another, pick swap from the Knicks. You get a Milwaukee protected pick and a second-round pick. I mean, that's a great haul for Mikal Bridges. You can't ask for much more. I really think this is an A+ for the Nets as well. They bring back Bojan Bogdanovic, who had a lot of success in Brooklyn earlier in his career. So all around, all across the board, both teams won, but the Knicks are obviously going to be the team to watch moving forward, at least initially, right? Who knows? Maybe those draft picks will all be superstars for the Nets, and this will, really come back to bite the Knicks, but I seriously doubt that. I think it's just a good trade, works out for both teams and what they're trying to do long term. It looks like the Nets could be having a fire sale in terms of all of their team, right? They could be trading guys like Cam Johnson. You could see Cam Thomas on the move. You could see Dennis Schroeder on the move. You could see a lot of these pieces definitely in the trade conversation moving forward. And I think, again, that's a good, really good step in the right direction for the Nets. This is something they've needed to do for a while, and I'm glad they're finally ripping the Band-Aid off and just getting to it, right? This issue was not going to go away. It was only going to get worse. So it looks like they saw the light there. And again, W for the Knicks, W for the Brooklyn Nets, but this really significantly changes the Eastern Conference. And, we'll have to see what my Sixers do, right? I think they're the biggest dark horse as far as the offseason. I mean, the draft as we speak, at the time we're recording this video is tonight, right? It's actually just a few hours away. So I think we'll know something about the Sixers by the end of the night, but we'll have to see. This video is not about them. So anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. This is a blockbuster trade, a historical trade for the Knicks, and will definitely determine a lot of things for the Knicks and Nets. I think, like I said, key summary points here: W trade for both teams, A+ on both accounts for both teams. But this Mikal Bridges trade really, puts a big emphasis on the Knicks in the Eastern Conference. And I think if you were able to retain OG Anunoby, I mean, those are your Celtics defenders right there. Those are your Tatum and Brown stoppers. Those are the guys that are going to get you through a series like that. And I just think it's such a great move for the Knicks. If Anunoby leaves, you have his replacement, guy who's a little bit more durable and doesn't make as much money. So then you're able to keep a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein around, who had a big impact on the Knicks last season. So either way you slice it, I think it's just a great move for both teams. Blockbuster deal. You love to see it, man. What a time to be an NBA fan. I'm having too much fun in this offseason. Stay up to date with this channel, man. It would really mean a lot to me. We work really hard on this channel to get you guys, all offseason stuff every day on the channel. We're gonna be uploading content every single day moving forward. That's what we've been doing for a while now, and I just love making content, right? So all things NBA every day on the Dehave channel here, and really want you guys to be a part of it, man. So make sure you guys subscribe if you guys haven't already. Stay up to date on all, the news and stuff like that for the offseason, and then once the season starts, same deal. All things NBA every day. Drop a like on the video if you guys did enjoy it. It really helps out the channel. Follow my socials. Links are down in the description. Check out my last video if you guys missed it. We did an NBA quiz on Sporkle.com where we tried to guess every single NBA Finals MVP in NBA history, and it was just a lot of fun for me. I kind of aced the test, I'm not gonna lie, but there's a controversial call in that quiz, so hopefully guys check that out if you guys could be so kind. I'll catch you guys in the next one. This is your boy D-Have, and as always, peace.